So now we're going to get on to our presentation. Allie, you want to kick it off?
Thanks so much, Eli. Eli is one of our organizing fellows, and he's going to be helping us out today. My name is Allie Donenworth. I am the content creation specialist with the digital team. I started back in July, in the heat of 2020. It was a wild time, but we got through, and I'm so happy to be here to do a training with y'all. Kate is our communications director, like she said, and then John Hicks is our digital fellow. He's also going to do a couple slides for us. So we're just going to kind of get started today. I did want to go ahead, and I see some familiar faces on here. So if you've attended my trainings before, these are going to be pretty similar today. This training this morning is going to be very quick. We're not going to cover every single word on every slide. Also because, raise of hands, how many of you are coming to any of the digital tools, Canva or MailChimp trainings in the afternoon? Okay, so this is going to be a little more of an overview, and then we will cover these same slides in the afternoon, and we will get more into the nitty gritty. So if I'm skipping a couple things and I'm like, hey, we're going to talk about it this afternoon, we will cover it then. If you're not able to attend the trainings in the afternoon, I'm happy to schedule one-on-one time with you to kind of go over whatever questions y'all have. So the first thing we're going to do is cover social media and digital tools. Then we'll talk about Canva. We'll talk about MailChimp a little bit. Do any of you already have a MailChimp account? Or is this kind of like we need to, or is anyone a beginner in MailChimp, has never opened MailChimp before?
I've never opened MailChimp.
Okay, so we will try to keep this a little bit more baseline, and then in the afternoon training, we'll get a little more detailed with MailChimp and uploading contacts and all of that, tagging people. We'll talk about building your message, press basics, letters to the editor, messaging guidance, and then we'll take some questions, but we'll also take questions at the end of each section. All right. Social media and digital tools. And can everyone see my screen of my presentation? Perfect. And if you guys have questions, drop them in the chat and someone will yell them out to me. The first thing we're going to talk about is knowing your audience and knowing who they are. Some questions to consider is, what is your target demographic? Who are you trying to reach, and how is this going to affect the messaging and how you're communicating with them, the captions that you're saying, how are you targeting specific people? One statistic I like to share with people is that on average, you only have 2.7 seconds to grab someone's attention before they keep scrolling. I would argue it's less than that now. So that's something to keep in mind, that you need to get your point across very quickly and as effectively as you can. Facebook specifics. Again, all of this is going to be shared to you guys later. So I'm going to skip over a little bit of this right now. But one thing I just wanted to say is that Facebook graphics are usually a square, Instagram graphics are a square, and Twitter graphics are a rectangle. We will cover all of this a little bit more later when we talk about the content package that I send out on Wednesdays. All right. Another thing to consider is Facebook pages or Facebook groups. What is most appropriate for a county party to have? We recommend having a Facebook page because you can monitor what gets posted on there. You're actually the only one that's posting, but in a Facebook group, a lot of people can post, which is sometimes appropriate and sometimes it is not. So if you do not yet have a Facebook presence for your county or your precinct or your district, I recommend creating a Facebook page. And we can talk about that a little bit more. I also have two examples over here on the right-hand side of Facebook graphics that we posted in the election cycle that we felt were pretty effective. The first one with Vice President Kamala Harris, when talking about captions, you want to have a call to action. You want to lead people to do something after they see your post, so that they don't just keep scrolling and not do anything. So you can see up here that we ended it with read more and we had a link. Sometimes that's all you need to do, is something as simple as read more. And then for this Medicaid expansion panel, we had a sign up link at the end. Sometimes you can have a donate button, but you always want to leave a social media post with a call to action. All right, we're going to skip this for now, and we will talk about this more in the afternoon. Okay, so design services. This is something that we are really trying to ramp up for everyone. Not everyone can have a graphic designer on their team, and we don't expect that. So at the NCDP, we offer a lot of services to county parties. One of the things that I wanted to introduce is the weekly content package. I send this every Wednesday. Lately, it's been coming on Thursdays because we have a lot going on. But the main thing I wanted to share about this is the power that you all have with your communities. If I send an email, to everyone in North Carolina, not a lot of people are going to open it. But if you all send an email to all of your constituents or your family members or your friends, they're way more likely to read it and to share it. Two statistics that we wanted to share are, when referred by a friend, people are 4 times more likely to take action, and 84% of folks trust a friend's recommendation more than any form of marketing. So people are going to take your word for it over ours. Very similarly to with vaccines right now, everyone's telling people to talk to their doctors, because even though we are urging people to get vaccines, that doesn't mean as much as people talking to their doctors or people they trust, and your friends trust you. So these content package, when you receive them, we ask that you also help distribute them to others. And we will send around this link later on so that you all can sign up to receive the content package. All right, I'm going to stop my share and I'm going to walk y'all through the content package and what it is. While I do this, are there any questions in the chat or anything? Yes, if you have a question, you can yell it out, Miss Deborah Ford.
The content that you had on the Facebook page,
Yes.
on the bottom with the little I, I'm having issues removing that content. Because even when I post on Facebook, it still has April convention on there. So how do I remove that?
There should be a little X button beside it where you're able to delete it.
So I can just delete down there on the bottom.
Yeah, and it will not delete your whole post. It will just delete that little gray, box, because if you already have a link up in the caption, then you don't also need it at the bottom.
Is there a way to remove it from MailChimp so it won't keep posting the same on the bottom, or I just have to exit out personally?
In MailChimp? What do you mean?
Because it keeps each week, although I have a new newsletter, it keeps repeating the April convention on the bottom where the I is. Like it's embedded in there. But you see, I just can go on there and just click the X on Facebook.
It might be, you may need to change the URL of the MailChimp, that specific newsletter. There's a way to, if someone in the past has made the URL April 2020 convention or 2021 convention, and if you are you duplicating in MailChimp every time? Yes. So it's probably the issue that you've been duplicating from the April one and then so forth. And if you want the URL, if you send a link to the newsletter to someone, it will still say April unless you go in and change the URL. So that's something I think Allie's going to go through MailChimp a bit today, and we can be sure to go through the URL change. I deal with that too because I send a lot of press releases through MailChimp, and I always forget to change the URL.
Yeah, I send it out to 4,000 people every week, so they keep seeing that on the bottom. But thank you.
Great. Yeah, we can. We're gonna do a share screen when we do MailChimp, so we'll go through that.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you attending the MailChimp training this afternoon?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then because today when we do MailChimp, it'll be a little bit of a quick overview, and then this afternoon we will go through it a little bit more.
Thank
All right,
you.
so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so this is the content package. This comes every Wednesday, sometimes on Thursday, from my email. So it'll say Allie Donenworth or A Donenworth at ncdp.org. The content package is always, the subject is going to be whatever the topic is. So I'm sharing with you guys the Building Blue for 22 weekend training edition. And again, the point of this, let me back up. The point of this is I'm sending you all relevant content to share on Facebook, Instagram. You can email it, whatever you would like to do each week with something relevant from that week. So I always give a little general overview. Again, this one is what I sent to everyone so that they could promote the Building Blue training that you all are on now. So this one, I had a bunch of information about what the weekend is like. Then at the bottom, there's a link that says click here for all graphics. So you can click that and it takes you to the folder where I also have the PDF that I was just looking at, but it has all of the graphics that you all would need named for what it is. So this bottom left one is Building Blue Twitter. So you would post that one on Twitter, and that one is sized correctly for you. If you keep scrolling in the PDF, I have a Facebook post and a tweet that you can retweet. This is just so you guys have relevant content to share, because if you don't always want to have to post something, it's very easy to share things. And that's a very important tool that people can remember, that there's a lot of good content out there, and you resharing content from the state party level or even the DNC level is also very important. It doesn't always have to be or an organic post that you are making. All right, and this one I sent an email template that you could send so that you could invite people. And again, in the folder, you could see here Building Blue email template. If you double click it, this is what it looks like. So you don't need to screenshot from within the PDF. I've actually had that question a lot. You don't need to try to take a picture of this and upload it to your email. You will download it from this folder. Do people, or Mike, do you have a question?
Yes.
Yes.
We're trying to attract a younger demographic in our county. How do we do that? Because what you're talking about now, I assume, is to spread that message to the people that are already members of our county party and to the people that they know. But in the case of our particular county, a lot of the people in our county are retirees.
Yeah. So this is something where when we're talking about your messaging, which Kate will also get into later, knowing your target audience is great. And one thing to remember is you're not going to be able to get everyone in one post. You're not going to be able to target every single person in one post. So one thing that I would say is think about the younger people are on mainly Twitter and Instagram right now, less so Facebook. So if your county party doesn't have an Instagram, I would get one started. And I can kind of help you with this afternoon in the digital tools and social media section. I will be talking more and more about, how often should you be posting on Instagram compared to Twitter. Instagram, it's only a few times a week, but on Twitter, you could post 20 times a day if you wanted. There's no rule there. So I would definitely reach out that way. I also would utilize, the, the Teen Dems caucus or even the College Democrats caucus and see if you could ever do an event with them, to try to have younger people added to your email list. Because again, you're going to be sending this to your existing email list. And if it's mostly retirees, that's not going to be attracting younger people because they're not on your email list. So I get the issue, and we can definitely dive into that. We'll dive into that later for sure. All right, so back to the content package. You can see that each week I'm going to have a Facebook and Instagram post. Those are the same because they're square. And I will have a Twitter post for you. That one's always going to be a rectangle. There's also a corresponding caption underneath. So like I said, each week, maybe one week, this one's going to be a Father's Day post, or it's going to be about Governor Cooper's budget. There's several different topics, but they will always look like this format. And then you will download them from this folder. And again, we will talk even more this afternoon about it. Does anyone have any questions right now about the content package? Okay, cool. Kate, feel free to yell at me if I'm forgetting something. All right. Let me get back to this and start my share. All right, awesome. Okay, another design service that we offer is we will make graphics for you all. We offer around 2 to 3 graphics per month per county. This is the link that you can do it at, which we will send later on. These are also just some examples of work that we've done for people. The AAPI caucus, some of these were for the House or Senate caucus, the LGBTQ+ caucus. We do a lot of work for counties. We do ask that if precincts need work, they go through the county, just because there are so many precincts, and doing 2 to 3 graphics a month for every precinct would take a couple people to do. But also, if there's ever a month where you need more than 2 to 3, we are flexible. It's not like that is a very strict number, but we ask for a week turnaround. That's are pretty much our rule of thumb. Yes, Eli.
So if you're a district third vice chair, would you still follow the same rule? Just good, like, how would you do that as a district? Is it the same rule?
For a district, we would still do the 2 to 3 graphics a month. Yeah, you wouldn't need to go through a county or anything for that.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to keep on going because we are slightly low on time. This slide has resources. This first one is something that I have bookmarked on my computer. It is all of the specs, so all of the sizing for every single social media post that you could need. It has the sizing for your profile photo, 180 by 180. It has, let's see, anything for Twitter that you could need for the header photo, for example. It has, and even LinkedIn, which none of you need to have a county page for LinkedIn or anything, but Instagram, everything. I have this bookmarked, and we will, I know I keep saying this, but we will cover that more in depth this afternoon with all of the sizings and everything. All right. I think I skipped ahead. Sorry, guys. Is this going backwards? One second, y'all. Okay, resources. There's also a lot of virtual trainings that the National Democratic Training Committee leads that you can look at. Another resource in addition to the content package or to us doing designs for y'all. Again, don't forget you can share our messaging and DNC graphics at that level. And one thing I try to say every training is with messaging, it can be tricky, especially making sure you are amplifying the correct voices. And if there's ever a time, for instance, with these shootings lately, that if you feel like your voice for your county is not the right voice to be amplifying, especially as a white woman, I make sure if I am trying to amplify a message, I'm communicating with the right person, or I am sharing the African American Caucus's post, and just make sure what you are saying is appropriate, that it is the right thing to be saying. And if it's ever a difficult communications talking point, always feel free to reshare the NCDP's messaging, the DNC's messaging, or you can reach out to me or Kate, and we can help you come up with messaging that is appropriate, because it's important to have those conversations and to learn, but it's also important to amplify the messages of other people. So always reach out if you guys need help with that. But I think that's very important that we all think about. Kate, anything to add? Cool.
Doing great.
All right, John, are you ready to talk about Zoom and Mobilize?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
All right. So with the way the pandemic has obviously hit us in the recent year, really Zoom is how we've been having pretty much everything we've been doing, right? And Mobilize, which I will be covering later in a different session, is kind of the way that a lot of the NCDP and counties keep track. Well, first of all, it's how we make sure you get the links to all the events we have. It's how we keep track of who's coming. It's how we kind of advertise who's coming. It really has everything all in one place. And the difference between them is, as you can read here on the slide, Zoom is where you hold the meeting. Mobilize is really where you sign up and schedule and everything. So if you want to go on and go to the next slide, we should be good for that. Okay, so what Zoom and Mobilize integration is it's really a way to combine them and take a step away from what you have to do. So instead of having to like export your email list and send them all the Zoom link instead, what this does is you can integrate them so they work together. So if somebody signs up for your event on Mobilize, they automatically receive the Zoom confirmation and everything, so that you know they have the right link, they'll be getting everything that comes up. And you can see some specifics on here as well, such as Ali has said, the form to get set up on Mobilize will be there. You have the graphics for the pictures that show up whenever you have an event, because they have like similar graphics, kind of like Facebook and everything, right? It shows like a little picture, like we're doing phone banking, and it'll have like a picture of a phone or whatever. And it also shows you the right sizing for the presentations when you put them on Zoom, like we're doing right now. So, really what it's important for is it keeps everything all in one place. And if you follow these guides, you'll really have a very professional looking presentation that will make everybody know you know what you're doing, right? And that should be pretty much everything for my section, I believe.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to add to that is, whenever people have a Facebook event, you would have either the Zoom registration link or the Mobilize link. But even if people sign up on Mobilize, they still have to look for the Zoom link to go sign up. So this way people aren't having, a million emails from different places. This way, if they sign up on Mobilize, they are signed up on Zoom, they are registered, and they have the link all in one place. Because it could be very frustrating, navigating your email thinking you've signed up, but really you've only registered on Mobilize and not on Zoom. So we definitely recommend everyone gets signed up. Okay. Another resource that we want everyone, does anyone have questions about Zoom or Mobilize before we move on? Awesome. Canva is another great resource that we wanted to introduce people to. We have a whole training on it this afternoon that will be also more specific, but it is a graphic design platform with several pre-made templates. It's free. I've set up a couple counties. I think Buncombe County is one that I've set up so that people can, have a template pre-made and then they can edit the graphics. So they're very user-friendly. They're free. It's amazing. One thing I wanted to talk about is what is good design? It's a little subjective. This could be a year-long training I would enroll you all in, but one thing to keep in mind is that you want the contrast between the copy and background to have high enough contrast that it is readable to your audience. You want to have clear hierarchy of information. So, the title needs to be the largest and at the top. And then you kind of like work your way down, which we'll talk about. And then another thing to think about is accessibility. You want to make sure whenever you can that, people with visual impairments are able to read your design. And that is something that we are becoming more and more aware of. I do not have all the answers to it yet. I'm working with the Disability Caucus to try to come up with even a one-page PDF of best accessibility practices. And whenever that is ready, I will make sure I email it to all of the third vice chairs because I think it could be very useful. And then I have some chats in here. Oh, Barrett, hi. Yes, I made Buncombe for you. Hey. All right, cool. We're going to keep on going. So now I'm going to open up Canva. Let's go to canva.com. We're going to do a quick overview of this. There is like literally any design you could ever need to make. They're going to have a template for that size. So if you needed, a PowerPoint presentation, they even tell you the sizing. You can see underneath it says 1920 by 1080 pixels. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier on. For a poster, this specific one's 18 by 24 inches. Let's see, Instagram. This is saying 1080 by 1080. It could also be 900 by 900. That's what we designed for. This one would just be slightly higher res, but it won't be necessary. So let's look at templates up here. This is the main page when you open up. This is what it will look like. For templates, let's say we wanted to make an Instagram post. And again, we're doing this thinking we're not trying to make our own template. We are trying to utilize a template that already exists, which is what I recommend for all of you. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Just, there's always going to be good options. And almost everything is free. There are some things that are only available to pro Canva. So if there's like a little crown, that means it's not free. You would have to upgrade your account. But let's see, Memorial Day. We're going to click on it. We're going to use this template. Oh, that was not a free one. Hold on 1 second. Free. Okay, let's look at this one. So obviously this one is kind of, geared towards skincare or even a retail option. But you could still use this. This does not mean it would not work for politics. So there's a spot here where you could, upload your logo. Everything is extremely editable. If you wanted to change this to say, let's say building blue, you can change the font if you want by doing this. Please tell me if I'm going too fast for all of you. You could change the sizing. You could bold it. You can change the color. You can do so many things. You can even change the picture. There's, you can move graphics. There's so many things you can do. And again, I really recommend every third vice chair have a Canva account because you are able to make graphics that look ready very, very quickly. And if I'm ever, if you ever have something that comes up last minute and I'm not able to make y'all a graphic for the next day, this would be definitely your next best thing. So later on today, we will go through Canva step by step, how to make a design. Okay, I see people are chatting. Yep. Cool. MailChimp. All right, so who in here, I think we had this earlier, we raised our hands. Who here has a MailChimp account? I have like 5. All right, so a couple people have one. Basically, they call themselves an all-in-one integrated marketing platform for small businesses to grow your business on your terms. Essentially, it is just a really useful emailing platform that we recommend everyone uses because it's user-friendly. At first, I didn't feel like it was user-friendly. I felt like it was very clunky, but once I had a walkthrough, I understood it. So my hope for today is that after the training this afternoon, all of you are able to upload your contacts, you are able to send an email, and then you are able to read the data saying, how many people opened it, how many people clicked on it, and then go from there and figure out in the future what you might need to change about your email or keep the same. All right, so none of you all should really need the paid account. Really, the free account should be more than enough. What you get out of the free plan is up to 2,000 contacts. And a contact is just like an individual member, obviously. You can send 10,000 sends a month with a daily limit of 2,000. What I do want to say though is, even if you have like one email, you know, called Building Blue that you send, that doesn't count as one. It's all of your email list is how many sends you are sending. Does that make sense? Did I just explain that terribly? One email send counts for all of the contacts, which we will also talk about later. Okay, we are now going to look at MailChimp very quickly. Everyone should get two-factor authentication, but bear with me 1 minute. Okay, so when you open MailChimp, this is what it will look like. This is the dashboard. Your menu is over here on the left-hand side. So you have your audience tab and your campaigns tab. Those are really the two that you are going to use the most. There's several others. If you wanted to make a website with your MailChimp account, you could. If you wanted to integrate it with other social media platforms, you could, but really these are the two you're gonna utilize the most. Your audience is all of your contacts. So with the free plan, I believe you only get one audience, but a workaround. So let's back up. You are probably going to be sending different emails to different contacts. For instance, a fundraising email you might want to send to certain people, but an event invite you might want to only send to certain people. At the NCDP, we have a paid account. So, you know, I have an audience, which is all of my content package list. I have another audience, which is the entire weekly wrap up that comes from our executive director, Meredith. You will not be able to do that with a free account, but what you can do is you can tag people. So anyone who's on your content package list, you can add a tag called content package, which I will show all of you how to do later today. But that is the workaround for your audiences. And if you wanted to view your contacts, this is, if any of you were on my MailChimp training last time, these are what we uploaded, and I will show all of you how to upload, how to tag people, what happens if you upload something incorrectly, how to fix it, all of that. So these are all of your contacts. There's several different ways to add contacts. You can just copy and paste them in here, or you can upload them with an Excel doc that you save as a CSV file, which we will also walk through. Your campaigns are your email sends. So for instance, training email. This is a test email that I did for the last training. So if you click, you can see that there's different campaigns. And we're going to click on this one. All of your recipients show up here, who it's from. You can send an email from someone else. So sometimes I send an email from Meredith when she's done writing it, and that would be here. During my last training, I showed, you know, that I could send something from Julia Buckner. I just want to caution everyone, make sure you have permission to send an email from someone. You can add a subject line, and then all of your content. This is where you would edit your design. And again, I know I'm going very quickly with this. I just want to give you all a very general overview so that this afternoon, I'm sure we'll have some more people and we'll kind of have to read through this, but you all can see it a second time and it will really start making more sense. But with MailChimp, there's all of these blocks, is what they call them over here on the right-hand side. So there's a text block, there's an image block, there's a button block, there's so many different things. So you could see over here in this email, this was just a pre-made email template that I already had in here. And all of these are individual blocks that are editable. So here is a logo. You could upload a logo, which I will show all of you how to do later on. There, if you needed to edit the text on this left-hand side, you click on it and it pops up on the right-hand side. And then this is where you type. You could delete, and it deletes over here in real time. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'm going to delete this first paragraph. Deletes in real time. If you made a mistake, you could undo it. You can do so much. You can change everything. To add a block, let's say we wanted to add a button at the bottom that said like sign up for our newsletter. You just drag this button over and you can decide where you want to drop the block. And then it's here. You could change what this was. You could say sign up now, and then you would drop the web address URL here to a form where people could sign up for something, or they could donate, or they could watch a YouTube video, whatever you wanted to do. Buttons are a great resource for that. All right. So let's pretend this was a completely done email and we were ready to send it. You would click continue up here at the top. And then you would click send up here. And it will then again ask you, are you sure you're ready to send? That way we're not, sending an email to 700 people that we're not ready to distribute. Again, I know this is very quick. Does anyone have questions as of right now? Yes, Deborah.
When you was going back over the font size, I'm having an issue with part of my newsletter being bold, and it's not letting me unbold.
Okay, great. That is a great question. I actually was helping our new comms deputy director with that the other day. If you click on this, let's pretend I wanted to unbold it. If you click bold, it doesn't always work. Sometimes if you copy and paste it from somewhere in, it's bolded and you can't undo it. What you can do is hit clear styles and it will fix it. That's all you have to do. Select everything, select clear styles, and it will go back to not bold. That took me a while to figure out. It's very.
And underline, I have the same issue with links. Do links supposed to be underlined at all time when I'm linking a website?
It doesn't have to. It's a good best practice because people know, like, if something is not underlined, the eye does not always know that they're supposed to click on it. But if you didn't want it underlined, I think you should be able to just click the underline button and it would get rid of the underline. It doesn't work. What if you click try clear styles? And I think that should work. There is a way to do it. I will try to have a link. I'm gonna have an email ready for the afternoon training. I will try to have a link on there and have an answer for you at that one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yes, Mike.
Are there any issues with sending messages with attachments? Kate, can we send an attachment with MailChimp?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't.
And I think what you would do, like if you were trying to attach a document or a PDF or something, I would go ahead and embed it into the actual MailChimp email so that no one has to click away or, go somewhere else to find the document. What's great about MailChimp is that everything is just in one place. If you did want to, maybe it's a super long doc and you don't want to include it in the actual email, I would suggest putting it onto a Google Drive and linking the Drive folder in your email so that people can go and find it. But it's not like, our emails, our Gmails or Outlooks where you can just attach a file. It doesn't work like your normal email.
Yeah, and I'll cover embedding or, like linking something. I will show that this afternoon. That way that is something you can do, because a lot of times you need to send important information. But with the content package each week, instead of attaching the PDF, I have the button that says view content package here, and then that's where people can download the PDF. So you just have to hope people read your email and click on the button.
Thanks.
All right. And then one thing I also wanted to add is, even after our afternoon MailChimp training, a lot of you will probably still have questions, and that is normal. I am here to answer all of them, but also utilize the MailChimp trainings and articles on their website. We will send this link around. But even when I first started doing trainings, I had a couple questions of just little things that are easy to do, but I had never utilized in MailChimp, and I wanted to have the answers for all of you. And I honestly just used the MailChimp trainings. They have very comprehensive articles that talk you through on how to do things. I know a lot of websites have really terrible help articles, and it doesn't do anything for you, but MailChimp is the exception to the rule. They are very helpful with the knowledge that they put out. Also, YouTube videos give you a lot of really good walkthroughs. If you're ever stuck with something, try Googling it and seeing if anyone has made a video on YouTube showing you how to do it. Otherwise, give me a call. I'm happy to share your screen and try to figure out what's going on with your MailChimp if you have problems. All right, and I'm gonna kick it over to Kate.
Great, thanks,
I will
Allie.
stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours.
So like I said earlier, my name is Kate Frauenfelder, and I'm the communications director for the party. I started in January, so it's been about 6 months, but it feels like I've been here forever already. But I'm super excited to be with you guys today and do a quick overview about messaging and some press basics and what you see any questions you guys have about communications. So let me share my screen. All right, so we're going to talk first about building your message. Oh, it's not letting me move, Allie. Help. Oh, okay, that worked.
You got it?
So we talk a lot about messaging, and it's always, I think, one of our biggest challenges, but having a clear and concise message is the most important step you can take when you want to connect with voters on a personal level. And it really, when you think about message, it shouldn't be about any specific policy, prescription, or priority. You really want to speak to people's values. That is a way to evoke emotion in folks and really get to the heart of why they care about something. So when you think about, expanding Medicaid, for example, instead of saying Medicaid expansion, and we say this a lot, so, we are not perfect either. Medicaid expansion would cover hundreds of thousands of people who fall in the coverage gap. Instead of saying that, think about saying Medicaid expansion will help people live healthier lives, and it will allow them to focus on the success of their dreams, their communities, and their families. That is something that people can really think about tangibly and speaks more to people's values. And when you think about values, freedom, responsibility, equity, opportunity, things like that, it's always good to have in the back of your mind as you're messaging everything. Okay, so especially now during the pandemic, obviously our message should be rooted in our party's values, but it's right now when a lot of people are struggling, small businesses, and people losing their jobs, we want to focus on having a message that includes everyone and that is empowering and emphasizing justice and opportunity for everyone. And when you are thinking about that, consider your core issues. What is best to message on because you know your community. So the easiest way to get your message drafted and honed is to center it around issues that your community is passionate about. And that is the most authentic to you and your community, and that will come through in your messaging. So, and I think this is a good exercise for everyone to do. Obviously, at the NCDP, we talk about a bunch of different things, what's happening in the news, and what's happening in the legislature, what the governor is doing. But for on a county level or on a district level, there might be issues, or on a local level, there might be issues that the NCDP never covers, but is super, super important to your specific community. Like, I always think about an example that someone brings up about ferries and the importance of having adequate funding for their ferry system. That is something that the NCDP probably wouldn't message on, but if you live in a coastal community, that may be super, super important to your community. So think about those core issues when you're starting, whether it's healthcare, infrastructure, your public schools, maybe there is food insecurity, especially during the pandemic. I know that was huge, and those are the things that you should be messaging on. And think about, why do you care about these issues? I always think about your why. Explaining your perspective and your reason for focusing on the issues, I think allows people to better understand you, your point of view, why you're talking about what you're talking about. An important thing to remember as well, and I think Allie touched on this earlier, is who is your messenger? Not only who is your audience, but who is talking to that audience, who is your messenger. So when we're talking about healthcare, vaccines, there's a doctor in your community, think about having them, write a social media post or write a letter to the editor. That using what we call surrogates like that are really great to come from a trusted source, and people understand, okay, you're a doctor, you know what you're talking about, and they have a unique perspective to talk about a specific issue. Other folks to think about are parents, teachers. It allows people to really connect, if they're also a parent, if they're also a teacher, if they have a kid in school, and come from someone that they can see in their community. Okay, so remember that it's not all about catchy phrases. We see them all the time, political catchphrases and slogans, specifically like in presidential elections. But it is nice to be able to distill your message down to a phrase, but it's pretty much impossible, and especially on a local level, where it's better to be more detailed and focus on the issues that matter to your community. Don't get hung up on catchphrases or slogans, and really focus on the issues, defining your values, and giving folks a reason to engage with you and ultimately vote for either you as a candidate or the slate of Democratic candidates in your district. And then always remember values, not policy prescriptions. Okay, so next we'll talk about press basics. And this may not be anything that you as a third vice chair ever engage in, and that is totally fine, but I wanted to sort of give an overview of some options that you may have. So when communicating with the press, this is a really good way to reach voters and spread your message. When people turn on their TV in the morning, at the NCDP, we want to be the people that show up after the weather, after the weatherman gives his what do they call the weatherman? I don't know. But we want to show up when people are watching their forecast. Thank you. We want to be right there after the weatherman's forecast while people are watching their televisions in the morning or, after dinner, and really speak to people where they are. So there's a lot of different ways to do this. And like I said, you may not do any of these, you may do some of them. The first are press releases, media advisories, and then interviews. So let's go through a couple. So here is an example of a press release. So you can see at the top, you have your date and a contact. The for immediate release pretty much stays the same unless for some reason you do not want the information out until a specific time. In that case, you would put, embargoed until noon on June 12th. You could send it ahead of time, but press wouldn't be able to share it until that time. Most of the time when you're sending something out, you want it to be shared immediately. So we have for immediate release. And this is a press release we did this week in a series about Governor Cooper's budget. So you can see they're not very long. They're a couple paragraphs, and then the meat of it is the quote. So you want to make sure you get your quote by the second paragraph so people read it. And this is what is going to be included in stories. So, we have a good quote here from our chair about talking about teacher pay raises, and then a little bit more information about what exactly is in the budget and some context around teacher pay. But the main things you want to make sure to include, obviously, is a title, and you want to keep that relatively short, an intro paragraph, and a quote. And then these little 3 hashtags at the bottom, I don't know where they originate from, but it basically just signals this is the end of our press release.
Kate, I have a question.
Yeah.
If other people signed up for your press email list, could they, send this to reporters in their area, or is that not something, like, should they put this in their own words and then change the contact? Like, what would be the best way for people to also distribute this sort of message?
Yeah, so I would say, I would not encourage you guys to send press releases on a regular basis, just because I don't think it's necessary. If you have existing relationships with media, that is great. Invite them to your events. Tell them about things that are happening in the community. But I think you all have a lot on your plate, and adding press releases, I don't think is necessary. But you are all welcome to join the press list so you can see what we're talking about, and share that on your social media and build it into your general messaging. But I would say the only need for a county party to send a press release is around if you're having a convention, if you're electing new officers, having an event, those sort of things is where you would want to send out a press release announcing it, or a media advisory telling folks about where the event is, when it is, who's coming, how they can RSVP. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about sharing press releases like this. Okay. One thing that I think is, like I said, you guys have a lot on your plate, and I think a really good actionable item that you guys could take from this comms training are letters to the editor. They're really useful, like I said before, using surrogates to spread your message. So letters to the editor, basically you send to your local paper, and they, either weekly or daily, they'll post online, they'll print it in their newspaper, very, very short paragraphs from folks in the community about a specific issue or article that was posted or printed in the newspaper. And like I said before, remember the issue that you're talking about and who is the best messenger for it. So a lot of times at the party, if we want to send a letter to the editor about, let's say, the American Rescue Plan and its impact in a specific county. Maybe we want to talk about the money that that went to schools and how it helped schools reopen safely and teachers return to work and kids get back into the classroom. Who would be the best messenger for that? Probably not the county chair. You probably want a teacher to be talking about that, or a parent who has experience with the issue and can talk from their heart about how President Biden and the American Rescue Plan, that funding really made a difference in their lives. So always think about that, someone who's had experience dealing with XYZ, and build up that list of people. Don't forget about them, because when an issue comes up and you want to move quickly, you want to have kind of a roster of folks that you can choose from that can be your go-tos when you need to send a letter to the editor or make a post on social media. It's really great to have those trusted people in your communities that that you can count on. Okay, so how to submit letters to the editor. I think I'm gonna go to, let's see, can everyone see my screen still?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to use the Greensboro News and Record for an example. I think someone mentioned that they are in Guilford County. So you go to your local news section, and at the side, on the side, there'll be a tab. Usually it'll be under contact or opinion. Here you can see it's under opinion, and you click submit a letter. So it's important to read all the directions, because every local paper has different standards and requirements for how they want a letter to be submitted. And if you don't do it correctly, then you have a very low chance of your letter being published. So here you can see that they want contact information, and just as a FYI, none of your contact information will be published besides your name and where you live. They use this information to verify, like if you submit a letter, they will either call you or email you and ask, Kate, we saw you submitted this letter. Did you actually submit it? Just so they can make sure that it's authentic. So contact information. And then you can see here that they just have people copy and paste their letter into this box. For the Greensboro News and Record, it's a 200-word limit. So like I said, letters to the editor are very short. You have to get your point across in a couple of sentences. I don't know, Allie, this may be even less than you can tweet out these days. So
I think so.
Yeah. So once you copy and paste your letter into here, you just do the robot check and then submit your letter. And I will say, papers get a lot of letters. So be persistent. The first time you submit a letter, it may not be published just because of space and availability that day or week. But keep going. They're short, so they're not super hard to write. Get in the practice of submitting letters all the time, and eventually, when the timing is right, it'll get published. Okay, let's go back to the slide.
And if y'all have questions about any of the things we're bringing up, at the end of this, we will drop our emails in. We know we're covering this stuff quickly, but feel free to send us an email. Or if you're nervous for your first letter to the editor, I'm sure Kate wouldn't mind if you sent her the couple of first sentences or something, but always use this as a resource for this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And what I am covering next may be helpful to get started. So like Allie's content package, the comms team also sends out a messaging guidance package every Tuesday. And so I am going to share my screen again. So here is an example of messaging guidance. This is from this week. So we just have a little header at the top. Like it says here, these are internal. So, they're not really to be posted online, but the content that's in it, you guys are definitely feel free to use. At the top here, we do have some sample social media posts that you are able to share. You can quickly copy and paste a caption based on things that are happening that week. So right now, the legislature is in the midst of a budget fight, and our lieutenant governor is crazy pants. So those were the two social media posts to share from last week. And then you can see we've got a table of contents with all of the different sections of talking points and messaging guidance for the week. A lot of the time, well, all of the time, there are sections that stay the same each week, and they can either be updated or, we just want, this is a living document that we update and add to each week. So like, for example, the one at the bottom, Battleground, North Carolina, that usually stays the same, talking about all the races that we have going on in 2022.
Hey, there was a quick question in the chat. People want to know if they should run the letter by the county chair or anyone like that. Should we recommend that maybe they set up an initial meeting to figure out what the county chair prefers if they want to approve them all? Or
yeah, I think that would be good. And whatever the chair's preference is, it's always good to get another perspective on what you're writing. But a lot of times the letters that are timely are the most likely to get picked up. So we definitely don't want letters to get held up in a cumbersome approvals process or anything like that. So definitely, if this is something that you want to start doing, have a conversation with your county chair and figure out what would be the best way to go about it in terms of finding folks to write the letters and getting the letters approved and submitted in a timely manner. I don't have a preference there. Like Allie said, I'm always happy to look at them if you want a second eye. But the messaging guidance will help a lot. So say you want to do say you are a Pitt County Dem and Trump just visited your county over the weekend, and you want to submit a letter on Monday morning talking about how horrible the convention was. So you can just copy and paste, whatever you want from this and add in your own spin, however much will fit, under the word count of this specific paper. And feel free, just copy and paste. These talking points are ready to go for you guys to use. And they're a combination of federal issues and state issues. So you can see we've got, a lot of stuff about what President Biden is up to, what Governor Cooper is proposing in his budget, some bad Republican tax plan that was rolled out a couple of weeks ago, a lot of different stuff that, like I said, some of it changes just on new news, and other things stay the same as we go. So I'll just do a little scroll through. It's super
and
long,
our content package does not always correlate to the messaging guidance. Like Kate and I don't necessarily talk each Monday morning to figure out if we're going to marry our two ideas. But if there was ever like a talking point that she just had on there that you thought would be a really good caption, that's when I would recommend, utilizing Canva, and maybe you can make a graphic to go with it, or you don't always have to have a graphic. You can just have a link to a news article as your graphic, as your thing to go with it. So all of those talking points are great. They could be good social captions. Again, this isn't something to post the entire document on Facebook, but you can take little bits of pieces and really utilize that for your social platforms. Is that right, Kate?
And I'll say, and you don't always have to take action after reading the messaging guidance. I think it's good to just read it every week and start getting those talking points in your head so that it's easier for when you are thinking about writing a caption, you can kind of you already know what the talking points are because you've been reading the messaging guidance each week. So, feel free to just read it and kind of take everything in, even if you don't, do anything with it. And if you do not receive these right now, feel free to email me if you want to receive it, or if there's anyone else in your any other officers that you'd like to be added to the list. Just give me an email and I'll add them. Okay, I know that was a lot. So I'm going to stop share and see if there are any questions about communications. We have about 10 minutes left. So Allie, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to share, but
I mean, I feel like we could both, keep going for a little while longer. There's so much, but I just dropped my email and Kate's email in the chat. I'm also going to drop the link to sign up for the content packages. Kate, if you want to drop the link to sign up for the press or messaging guidance. And then again, all of this stuff will be emailed out to you later today. So if there's a specific link you were hoping to grab, you will receive this slide deck. And then once this video recording is available, it'll be posted online. So you all could rewatch this if you had, questions that we covered, but you couldn't remember exactly what we said. But yeah, does anyone have questions? Yeah, Deborah. Oh, I think you're muted. I do that all the time.
Okay, will you have another training session about press releases and content? Just like Allie did with MailChimp?
So we don't. There is another session in the afternoon that focuses on communications that Lillian, our digital director, will be running. That'll give you guys examples on how to share about the American Rescue Plan. If you have questions about press releases, we can definitely get templates to you for you to use. But like I said, I don't foresee you all being required to send tons of press releases. And if there is a time that you need to send one, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you. Mike.
This question is for Allie. Allie, do you have any kind of questionnaire that you'd like us to fill out when we need a particular kind of graphic? I mean,
Yes, I will drop the next thing in the chat. So I just dropped the sign up link for the content package. Let me grab the link for this next one is what you will fill out if you need a graphic. And they both look very similar. But yeah.
All right, you're going to send that out some other way so that we don't have to write all that down.
Yep. Yep. We will. I will ask Julia Buckner when she's planning on, emailing all of this, but these slides. But yes, we will get all this information to you. It might be, middle of next week when everything is sent out. If I had to guess, but yes, you will receive all of this. All right. And if there's anything, that you need us to go into more detail with in the afternoon, feel free to let us know. But otherwise, we will keep on going and get a little more detailed. All right. Cool. Well, I think we're done a couple minutes early, but we will see all of y'all later today.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all for coming.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Pam.
Bye-bye.